got a brim in the bush. I know that God gon' provide for me. That's why I stand on the book.
Hey there, friends, and welcome to Becoming a Boss, where we take some time each week to talk with someone who is wrestling with a specific situation at work. I'm your host, Megan, and today I'm here with my wonderful husband, Justin. Would you like to say hello?
Hi, everybody.
Today is a day that I've been waiting for a really long time, because at this point, you've probably heard us reference The Working Genius 972 times.
Yes.
But we have not actually talked about it holistically. So today is the day. And we love The Working Genius so much that Justin and I, that we decided that one of us needs to get certified. So he's here as the quote unquote expert. You're just an expert.
Sure.
Is that fine?
Yeah, why not?
Okay, you can handle
I love it. It's been a couple of years of studying it. It's been fun.
Well, we talk about it all the time.
We do.
And the reason we talk about it so much is because we are just fascinated with how it works. And if we ever have a conversation with you in real life, we will secretly be trying to guess what your geniuses are.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, the guy that wrote it, his name is Patrick Lencioni.
Mm-hmm.
He also wrote The 5 Dysfunctions of a Team, which I read like 15 bajillion years ago. So he's not a new phenom.
Right.
He's been around a while.
Yeah.
What else did he write? Death to Meetings.
I don't know if it's death to meetings or death by meetings or death from meetings, but it's death and meetings.
Okay.
Too many meetings.
The Advantage.
The Advantage, which is a very popular book. I think those are the most common ones that people actually remember.
Yeah, so he's been around.
So The Working Genius breaks down work into 6 different types of work. So whenever there is something that needs to be done, there is identifying the problem, coming up with ideas to fix the problem, figuring out which idea is best, telling the people, hey, let's go out and make this happen, then actually doing it, and then making sure it's done to completion. Those are the 6 areas of genius in a very quick snapshot. But it's every problem that needs a solution goes through that framework. And so what it says is that there's 2 areas that people absolutely love, brings them joy, fuels them, fills their bucket. And then there are 2 that it's like, you know what, I don't really care one way or another. I don't mind doing it, but I also don't want to do this forever. And then there's 2 areas that are frustrating. You do it for a little bit, you're like, oh man, I hated this type of work. And so those are 6 areas of genius. Do you want to go through them one by one?
Yeah, we'll go through them one by one. We might have to, this might end up being 2 episodes, because it might go over.
I don't know. I think we can do it pretty quick.
Well, we'll see about that.
We'll see.
So there are 6. We'll go over them quickly. And before we go over this, I would like to make a suggestion. So if you're listening to this, you've not heard of The Working Genius, you don't know what your personal geniuses are, my advice is to think of a time when you are out of gas. Whether it's the end of the day, you're tired, your bucket is empty, you're completely just out of patience, on edge. Maybe you're hungry too. If you're like me, you're hangry. There is no such thing as hungry. So if you're in that particular state and you're out of gas, it's kind of a little bit easier to determine what your geniuses are.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah. It is definitely easiest to think of it when you're like at your worst and not feeling healthy or stressed when you are stressed, because you could be good at anything. Every job requires all of these geniuses, and you need to be able to do them to be able to survive in this world as a person, or even just in the professional workplace. But when you don't have any context, or you're tired, there are going to be things that are naturally rising to the surface that are frustrating and draining and agitating to you, but then also things that you could be lying in bed at 2 a.m. and you'll be thinking about certain things, and they usually are things related to your geniuses. For example, Meg, if she is up at 2 a.m, she is thinking about how things need to be finished cleaning.
At the end of the night, I could be so tired. I just want to get the kitchen clean.
Yeah.
I want the house to be reset for the next day.
Yeah. And on my day off, that's the last thing that I want to do. So that area of work is draining to me, where for Meg, it's like very energizing. So we have to be intentional about structuring our days off, because with the whole Working Genius framework, it says instead of doing less of the things that you hate, you should be doing more of the things that you love, because out of the overflow, it can fuel you for the rest of the things that you actually need to accomplish. So if you're like, oh, I don't need to do this type of work, it's not true. There are ways that you can crutch it, I like to say, so that you can do it better and in a healthier way. But instead of trying to take stuff away, try to find the things that do bring you joy, identify what is energizing to you, and find more opportunities to do that. And if you say, I don't have time to do that, it's surprising how well this works. It'll make time for you.
Okay, so one more thing before we go in. One of the things I really like about this framework compared to other frameworks is that when he wrote the book, he's saying that you have 2 God-given geniuses.
Yeah.
They don't change.
Yeah.
These are your 2. They fill your bucket. That's the end of it.
Right.
And they're not going to change because they were given by God. And that's just what it is. It's not going to change. And I like that because a lot of the other ones will change over time because you grow, you change as you should. Life would be really boring if you never evolved past the age of 16-year-old mindset.
Yeah.
So anyway, but I do love it. I do love the fact that it stays the same.
Yeah, a quick contrast. And I don't know, there could be more depth to it, but I always like to compare Working Genius to Strengths Finders. So your top 5 strengths are, like, if you're familiar with Clifton Strengths Finders, it identifies the top areas that you are great at, like your strengths, but it doesn't necessarily say if these things are actually energizing to you or bring you joy. And so where Strengths Finders might say, hey, you should do more of these things, it doesn't say if you actually enjoy those things. So what I love about the Working Genius is you could be doing anything in any context, and if it is in your area of genius, meaning if you are energized by coming up with ideas, you could get pulled into a brainstorming session about something you know nothing about and love it, absolutely love it, because you get to contribute to giving ideas, where some people are drained and hate ideas. And if they get asked to, Megan, and if she gets pulled into something without context and says, hey, come up with 50 ideas for this thing, she'd probably hate it. And so, I think it's time to give some light into what these are and help people identify maybe what is training for them and what is energizing to them.
Okay, so ready? Let's start with the first 2. I really don't like these ones, so this should be your job.
Sure. And also, if you want to take, there is an assessment. You can go to theworkinggenius.com. It's a really great layout, lots of information, lots of resources, and there is an assessment that you can take to actually get closer to identifying and get a printout of all of the things that explain your geniuses. So
Or you just guess.
That's what we're going to be doing today. All right.
So the first genius is wonder.
The first genius is wonder. What could be better? What's broken? What has greater potential? It doesn't necessarily mean that you're coming up with ideas to make it better. You just feel that things are off and it could be better if we just, and you don't have to know what the just is, just that you know it could be better or that something is broken. That is the genius of wonder. These people can often come across, for those that are maybe trained by wonder, as the complainers, but they're not actually the complainers. They're the ones that are identifying things that need to be fixed and have potential to become better. The genius of wonder.
So here's the thing about wonder.
Okay.
So wonder is a drain for me, if everyone doesn't already know that. And the funny part is that my best friend is wonder.
Yes.
However, I worked with a wonder and in the context of business, and it was hard. It was hard for me.
Yeah.
So it was hard for me to work with a wonder, but my best friend is wonder. So it's super weird.
Yeah. You complement each other.
It's different. I don't know. It's just the context.
Yeah. It is the context, and it's how you work together.
I'm sure there's other things involved.
Yeah. There's a lot of other things involved. Okay. That's the genius of wonder. You need these people to identify the problems that need to be fixed and that have the greatest potential. And they should be heard.
Yeah, because the danger of not having a wonder around is that you do all this work. You could do this whole project.
Yeah.
You work hours and hours and hours, and so does everyone else. And then when everything gets finished, you take a step back and you realize there are 4 more problems that didn't get addressed.
Yeah.
And you have to basically do it again.
Yes. I think before we even continue, each of these geniuses, like, you could have it, doesn't necessarily mean that you're good at it yet, or perhaps matured in it yet. Because perhaps you be using your wonder as a complaining mechanism, and you're not actually contributing to helping to make it better. Or maybe you've matured along the way and you're like, hey, I feel like we have an opportunity to make this great if we just. So there are like different ways to present it. You could just say everything sucks, everything is horrible. Or you can see it as an opportunity to begin the conversation to make things great. These people are great to have in brainstorms because at offsites, brainstorms, all those types of things, they'll be able to zoom out 30,000 feet, 50,000 feet and say, I think we need to focus on these problems. And they'll be able to fill the whiteboard pretty quickly of like what those problems or opportunities are. You can see it as a problem, you can see it as an opportunity. I feel like that's the difference in maturity between wanderers who are just learning how to use it or wanderers that are advanced and figure out how to be progressive.
Well, it's a skill, but I think it's all in the presentation.
Yeah.
Because I could say the same thing 2 different ways and have a completely different reaction.
Yeah.
So I think it's all about in how you present it.
Like optimism and pessimism.
Possibly, but it's needed. We need to be able to take a step back and identify all the things that are wrong before we start the work. And I think that's the trick. So keeping your genius in check is another thing.
Yeah.
Here's where a wonder is very distracting. When we are at the end of a project
Yeah.
and we are 4 days from completion,
Right.
now's not the time to wonder. because whatever it is, it's too late. Like it's done. It's over. There's no point in talking. And that is where it could be construed as complaining because it's too late. Nothing can be done at that point.
Yeah.
The time for the wanderer to step in is at the beginning of a project. That's a really good point for if you're leading a wanderer to ensure that that person is in the meeting at the beginning.
Yeah. I think it could be helpful too it just depends on the team. So if there's like a QA process and it's like, hey, we have 4 days, we need to figure out everything that's broken real quick before we go live, like bugs and stuff.
Yeah.
And it's like built into the process. Okay, bring the wanderer in real quick to spot what's broken quickly so that we can make sure that we're not going to flip everything and restart the whole project, but there are things that we need to like dot the I's,
Cross the T's
before we go live.
So that would be another point to how it's presented, because if that is the goal, there's 4 days left. There are things that could be fixed. Let's identify them.
Yeah.
That's great. But I really do think it's in your tone too.
Yeah.
You know, anything can sound like wine. If you have a 3-year-old, you can make anything sound like a wine.
It's true.
All right. So number 2.
It's my favorite. Genius of invention. It's my favorite because I love inventing. I love
my
coming up with
word.
ideas.
This guy wants to come up with ideas all day long. There is no more frequently used phrase in my house than I have an idea.
Gemma just started saying it. My daughter. It's funny. Ooh, guys, I have an idea. I have a good idea. She's so silly.
And we think she's galvanized too, because she's like, let's do it.
Yes, we'll get to galvanize in a bit.
Okay.
But invention, I'm very energized by it. So at work, I was pulled into a brainstorming meeting a couple of years ago, and it was about virtual reality. How can we do our work in this context? And I was brought in last minute, given no prompts, and they were just like, all right, cool, let's come up with ideas. And loved it. For the next hour, I just brainstormed, had all these different things, and I was so energized for the rest of the day. And this season at work, I get to have a lot of opportunities to dream, to come up with new things, and it was probably the busiest and most full season that I've had
This season.
But
agree.
I've been most energized by this season than any other season because I've been doing so much of the things that are so much invention. Yeah,
that's a big difference because you are working a lot,
true.
but your attitude is good because it's the type of work that you want to do.
Yes.
So I think that's the note.
Yeah, so the genius of invention. Once the problem or opportunity has been found by the wanderer, the wonder stage of work, there's the genius of invention saying, okay, we found the problem, we found the opportunity. What are new ideas or new ways that we can fix that problem or come up with new ways to maximize on that opportunity? So problem, here's an idea that we can use to solve that problem. That's the genius of invention.
Right.
Now, people that are frustrated by invention doesn't mean that they can't come up with ideas, don't have ideas, hate ideas. They certainly can, especially with context. They just probably need a little bit more time. People that are drained by invention are, if you come to them last minute and say, I need 50 ideas for this, they're probably going to really, really feel frustrated, drained. Why are you waiting last minute?
Me.
Yeah. Where if you came to somebody who is energized by invention, they're like, oh yeah, I got it, no problem. And they can give it to you in seconds too.
So invention is a frustration for me, and I can give you 2 ideas.
Yeah.
But after that, I'm out.
Yes.
Especially if I just want really one viable idea, and after that, I'm like, let's move.
Yeah.
So.
And you'll see why in a second.
Yes,
Meg
you
is-
will.
In a few minutes. That's Meg's geniuses. She is more on the end of it. I'm more on the beginning of it.
So number 3 is discernment.
Number 3 is
Also
discernment.
Justin.
So once you have a problem, an idea to fix the problem, you need to figure out if it's the right idea to fix the problem. So
Somebody
once,
has to decide, out of all these great ideas,
Yes.
what is the best one?
Yes. So this isn't like data discernment. This isn't Holy Spirit discernment. This is the gut feeling of, I have a feeling this is going to work or not work. Which idea is best? And
You
again,
also
it's-
use logic.
use
too.
logic, yes, but it's also just kind of reflexive. You like to make decisions. You like to be a part of the process of deciding what's going to happen, what's going to do next, what are we going to eat, what are we going to do, and it could really, again, think of it in the context of no context. You know nothing about it, and somebody says, what decision do you feel like we should make? And then you don't mind chiming in to do that. If that's energizing to you, great. So I love to be able to discern ideas. That's going to work, that's not going to work, and I just have a feeling about it. I don't always have the ability to articulate why. I will dig into and try to figure out why, but I have no problem saying, I don't think that's going to work. I think that's going to work. I think we should do this and make a decision so that we can move forward.
I
But
love that commercial.
What?
It's not going to fit.
I don't think I've seen it.
Oh my word, it's so adorable. It's this lady, I think it's for insurance. And she's just looking at the things, just like, that's not going to fit. It's not going to fit. And then the commercial is like, some people just know. They just know it's not the right size. And so she tried to put the turkey in the oven. You've really not seen this?
I don't think I've seen it.
So another lady's putting the turkey in the oven. And she's like, Nan, it's not going to fit. Like, it's clearly too big. And then the funniest part of the commercial is somebody, it's like a gentleman, and he's putting on a sweater. And she doesn't even say it. She's just like, Stan, no. Like, don't even.
I've not seen this.
Oh, my Lord. It's so funny.
Yeah.
I'm going to show it to you.
Okay. The other thing with these geniuses, all of them, I'm sure you can do all of them. I'm sure you can do them great. You figured it out. I believe in the best. But all of them are a ranking, not a rating. Meaning, for your geniuses, whatever they are, you could be great at all of them. But there are things that lead the way for you that are most energizing and most draining to you. So don't think of it like, oh, I can do that. It's not, can you do that? It's, do you love to do that? Or do you hate to do that when you know nothing about it? 2 a.m, somebody texts you or calls you and says, hey, can you do this for me? You're probably going to love that text or hate that text depending on what they're asking, and probably also your relationship with them.
Just because you're good at something does not mean that it gives you joy.
Yeah. Right.
Huge thing.
Right. Patrick Lencioni would always say, your joy is your genius.
Your joy is your genius.
Yeah.
Right.
I think that's the first or second episode of their podcast.
Yeah, it's a really valid point, because I think sometimes we get caught up in the things that we are really good at. And then if you are really good at something, sometimes they will give you more of it because you're really good at it.
Yeah.
But then if it drains you, then you're going to end up really unhappy and burn out.
Yeah. And chances are you are pretty good at the things that are energizing to you, because
you like to do them.
Yeah, you like to do them.
So you probably do them a lot.
So naturally in your personal and professional life, you'd find more opportunities to do them naturally. So you got more opportunities to be better at them.
Practice makes perfect.
Yeah.
I'm ready to talk about me.
Okay. Your turn. Galvanizing. What is galvanizing? That was galvanizing. You were telling me, let's move on to my
gosh,
on to me.
yes. I can't even help it.
Yeah.
So galvanize is when you take the thing, the decided idea,
Right.
and you move the people forward.
Yeah.
And I don't even know I'm doing it. It's ingrained.
We were in the kitchen one day talking about the geniuses. My whole family was over, and she's like, I really don't think I'm galvanizing. Yet within the last 5 minutes, she had rallied 5 or 6 people of my family to cook the entire dinner for everybody. And everybody's doing exactly what she said she was doing. And then she just realized she wasn't even noticing that she was doing it. It's funny.
I really don't. I've tried to be more aware of me galvanizing since the framework has come out.
Yeah.
But it just comes naturally. I just want to get things done.
Yeah. These people can have the perception of bossing, wink, people around.
Yeah.
But it could be a good thing, it could be a bad thing.
I definitely, people have said I'm bossy.
Yeah.
That's been said.
You've said that about me.
You're bossy too, but you're secret bossy.
I'm secret bossy. I don't like to galvanize. I'm very drained by galvanizing.
Yeah. Teamwork.
Oh, that's right. Because if I have to do it, I'm like, I really don't like to do it. So if I am galvanizing, it's not my best energy. I'm not a fan of it. I'm not enjoying it.
No, you have your mad face on.
Yes, that's right. All right. So what does galvanizing look like to you at work? What has it looked like?
Well, the thing is, I've spent most of my career leading people, so it works pretty well because that's all leadership is.
Yeah.
No, it's a lot of it. And I think that I have been happy in those types of roles because galvanizing is such a huge part of it.
Right. And people will often just say, just tell me what to do. I need to know what I need to do.
Percentage-wise, and we haven't gotten to this yet, but percentage-wise, there are a lot of doers in the world.
Yeah.
And so they would need a galvanizer to get them moving.
That's true. I like to think of this one as charging people up. You don't necessarily need to, because in isolation, galvanizing doesn't mean that you necessarily love to do the next part, which is the doing, the enablement, actually enabling the vision to come to fruition. You go and charge the people up and release them to go out and do the thing.
Right.
You don't necessarily have to be the one that actually goes and does it yourself.
Right. And I just have no problem I'm just passionate. I'm a naturally passionate person. So when I love something, it just comes out in galvanize. That's how it comes out because I'm excited about it. I love it. I want to help people with it.
And normally you infuse vision into it. So galvanizers will tell people the why. They'll connect to the mission. They'll say mission, vision, values. These are the reasons. This is what we're supposed to do. This is what we're running to. Those that are drained by galvanizing will see it as salesy. I don't want to just force people to go out and do this stuff. They don't want to do it anyway. I don't want to tell them what they need to do. They should just want to do it for themselves. Why do I need to tell them? So I've connected with so many different people that were drained by galvanizing. And we all resonate with that theme of like, oh man, I don't want to force or tell people what they need to do. But you don't see it like that.
Well, I don't, because I don't know. So I guess if you asked me to rally people to do a certain thing that I didn't believe in, that would be a whole different story.
Yeah.
But I can always see the purpose. I can always see the reason.
Yeah. And me as somebody that is drained by galvanizing, I will data dump. I'll be like, this is the logic. Like, you should just want to do it. Like me. I don't need to be sold on why I need to do it. I don't need to hear vision. I got the information. I'm going to go do it. So it's like, I'll just give them the same information. Naturally, they'll want to do it. It's
Naturally.
Naturally. No, that's why we need galvanizers. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So the next one,
Enablement. And this is,
number 5.
so enablement, it is enabling the mission to come to fruition. So it's the person that gets charged up by the galvanizer and then goes out and helps to make it happen. They are the hands and feet of carrying out this mission.
The doers.
The doers, yes. So there's the dreamers. Which are
Helpers. They're also called helpers, doers.
Yes.
Literally nothing will get done without these people. Nothing.
yes, that's true. So the enablers love to just be a part of doing things. They also will love to encourage other people. So they are normally in it with them,
Yeah.
doing it alongside them and
Supporting
saying,
them.
yeah, supporting them. Hey, we're doing this together, making it feel great, celebrating people, encouraging. Hey, I love that you did that.
Great culture people.
Yes, great culture people. They can make it fun. Or there's the not healthy side where they just love to do it by themselves because they love to do it and they don't want anybody else to be a part of it because they just want to do it more of themselves too. But enablers that are really healthy and in a mature space can bring other people alongside them and make it fun for everybody because they're also in it with them too. They love working with other people and encouraging them. Now, the enablers are also doing things on other people's terms. So it's not just, I'm going to go do whatever I want. It's, hey, we're trying to fulfill the mission that we heard about. The person cast the vision to us of what we need to accomplish. Now we're trying to fulfill that mission. So we're anticipating the needs requested of us and trying to fulfill it. Now, sometimes the galvanizers don't even need to say anything because these enablers already know what needs to be done. They anticipate it and they go out and do it. So great enablers can anticipate the needs of their boss, their company, and just do it proactively.
Yeah.
But enablers, you're right. It is a high percentage of the people that take this assessment. Most of the people. The enablers are the ones that after college, they can just kind of plug into any job because they just love doing anything. They
Right.
love doing whatever, again, without context, as long as they get to be a part of doing it.
Right.
So I said a lot of good things about enablers.
Yeah.
There are people that are drained by enablement, don't necessarily like doing things on other people's terms. That's the
Wait.
thing that is more draining and frustrating.
Right.
So somebody that's energized, hey, can you help me with this? And they know nothing about it, sure. But if somebody else came to them and said, and they're drained by it, hey, can you help me with this? Don't even think about it. I just need you to do it. They'd be like, well, no, like,
Right.
no.
They want to have a say in what they're doing
Yes.
if you're drained by enablement.
Yes. And it's like, you don't give any context. You don't get like, this is just frustrating. Like, why are you even, I don't know. This could be done better. They
Right.
probably have a little bit of wonder. No.
Stop.
Well, yes.
Don't even.
Yeah. Anyway, it's being drained by always having to anticipate the needs of other people and do it on their terms.
Yeah.
That's what this frustration could look like if it's not a genius for somebody.
All right. So the final, I don't even know what to call it.
The final countdown.
Yes.
All right. So we've gone through,
Dun-dun-dun-dun.
we've gone through the genius of wonder, what's broken, what could be better.
Mm-hmm.
We've gone through invention, ideas to fix what's broken or could be better. Discernment, which idea is best. Galvanizing, cool, we got the idea. Let's go out and charge the people up to release them. Enablers, cool, we're doing it. Last one is tenacity. The finisher.
Oh, man.
What does tenacity mean to you? Since you're energized by it.
I am a tenacity person. I want to do the thing. I want to get the thing done. I want to check it off my list. I
Yeah.
want to see completion.
Yeah, and to clarify, it doesn't necessarily mean that you need to be a part of it or want to do it on other people's terms. You said, I want to do the thing. It's more of, you want to see it done.
Yeah,
You
don't
want
care
to be
who does
complete.
it.
Yeah, you don't care who does it. You don't need to be a part of it. It's like, I just need that thing off my list. I want it to be checked. I want to hit the goal. I want it to be finished.
Yep.
We did what we said we're going to do.
I don't care who cleans the kitchen.
You just want it cleaned. I know. This is also very draining for me. Both of her geniuses are my frustrations.
I think you try to say, I'm perfect for him, y'all.
Yes. We're perfect for each other. She's drained by invention. I love invention. It works out. So, genius of tenacity.
Just finishing things, getting
Yeah.
things done, checklist. I
Yes.
just want to see completion.
So 2 a.m. when you're tired, you were thinking about, you want the kitchen clean.
I want the kitchen clean. I want the whole house clean.
Yeah.
Really. I feel like they're loose ends.
Yeah. and they're just lingering. That's what's spinning in your mind.
Yeah. So I want y'all to know right this moment, there is clean laundry on the couch unfolded.
Yeah.
And I'm trying not to look at it.
And it doesn't even bother me.
Because it's an unfinished project. So, hey, do you know Angela
Duckworth. Yeah.
Okay, so she wrote the book Grit. I saw her on TED Talk. Anyway, she has a podcast. And she was talking about how our brains innately remember unfinished things. Open tabs, she called it. And then once the tab is closed, we can forget it.
Yeah.
So she was explaining that phenomenon in one of her podcasts. I forget what they're called. But it was really interesting because they also did a comparison with joy, how you could let your joy drag on if it's unfinished, quote unquote unfinished. So there was a story about a guy who got a letter and a gift, and it was like from someone who loves you. But it was a mystery. We didn't know who it was.
Yeah.
And so the guy was able to extend his joy because he didn't know who it was that loved him.
Oh, wow.
I'm paraphrasing. It's not the story, but that's the gist.
Yeah, that's the gist.
Yeah, that's the gist.
Okay.
So we remember open tabs. You can use that to work toward your good or to your detriment, because if you have a bad relationship that ended and there's uncertainty there's no closure, it'll just drain you and your brain.
Yeah. I think the open tab concept can apply to any of the geniuses. I know that tenacity is actually finishing the thing, but it's like my mind naturally, the open tabs for me of the ideas that I need to still dream up, the problems I need to help solve, the decisions I need to make. That's where my mind goes. I don't think of completing the project. I know it could be seen as completing the project, but it's like the things on my mind are the things that are energizing to me. The frustrating stuff, it's like, you know what? I don't really care if that's not my priority right now.
Right.
I guess it is all about priorities.
So I wrote down a couple of things that really, so the working genius really impacted my perspective. And I was wondering what yours were.
Yeah. The biggest thing for me is that I don't like to give other people work. If something was assigned to me, I feel like I need to be the one to do it. But then the working genius changed things for me because I thought everybody must be drained by galvanizing. But I didn't know it as galvanizing at the time.
Right.
I was like, oh man, I hate being the person that jumps up and says, hey, everybody, let's go do this. So if I needed to do that, I'm like, I don't want to make anybody else do this because they're going to hate it too. But the working genius made me recognize that the frustration for me of galvanizing is actually very energizing to people like Meg or some of my other friends that love galvanizing. I can give it to them, and in seconds, they can go out and rally the troops. Everybody's going to love it. They're going to be so excited, and it's fueling to them. So it allowed me to be more open-handed with empowering other people to do the things. Just because it's a burden for me doesn't mean it can't be a blessing for somebody else.
Yeah.
And so it was very helpful in being able to trust and empower other people.
It's easier to ask for help.
Yeah, it's easier to ask.
Because you don't feel like, because you're so kind. I love you.
I love you.
You're so kind. And I think that really can wear on you if you give somebody a task to do and you feel like it's going to drain the life out of them. You don't want to ask them for help. You're like, I'll just do it myself.
Yeah.
Because you care about people.
Right. Like, I hate it, but I don't want you to hate it too.
Right.
We'll both be miserable. But that was the wrong way to think about it. Now it's like, I can actually help them by giving them something that they love.
Right. Because it actually gives them joy.
Right.
Just because it doesn't give you joy doesn't mean it doesn't give them joy.
Right.
We're different.
Right.
And we were made that way purposefully.
Right. That's why it works really well for Meg and I. You could see it as, oh man, they probably don't go well together if what she loves, he hates. Well, we figured out that when it's time to come up with different ideas, I can go, endlessly coming up with ideas. When we get to the part of this is what we need to do, Meg rallies the troops, tells the people, hey, this is how we need to do it. This is why we need to get it done. And then she helps the accountability of, hey, we didn't finish this yet. We need to get this done. And so on our days off, I will go out and do something that is energizing for me for a minute, however much time I need, before I go out and do all the chores, because that'll fill Meg's bucket of needing the things completed. But first I need to go out and do the thing that's energizing to me so that I can kind of use the overflow into the thing that is frustrating for me, which is completing the stuff that is on Meg's list. Yeah.
And that also, it kind of feeds into my little self-care journey we talked about a couple episodes ago.
Yeah.
Because identifying what actually gives me joy is what I need to be able to get to a place where my bucket is overflowing so that you can have extra left over to do stuff that you don't want to do.
Yes. Yeah. It also just really is really great with like team dynamics too. Just understanding who do we need to bring into this? And it's not just the person anymore. It's just the way that they think. What area of work are we focusing on right now? Are we identifying problems? Do we need to figure out timelines, goals, decisions that need to be made? It's just really helpful for working together with other people.
I had that on my list also.
Yeah.
Just valuing humans differently.
Yeah.
Because I'm pretty good at being able to identify what people are good at.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's because of the galvanize in me. I can quickly assess and move. But one of the big revelations for me was where I worked with a person whose genius was wonder, because I was having a hard time seeing the value because they were just wandering around and it wasn't necessarily time for them to wonder. So it's kind of driving me crazy. But when you take a step back and you realize that wondering about all things are broken gives this person joy, then you can see them in a different context.
Yeah.
And you can know what to ask them. So for example, this makes a lot of sense with you and I, because I know your invention, I know your discernment, and sometimes I don't feel like coming up with an idea. I don't feel like making the decision. So I just pass it over, and I don't mind passing it over to you.
Yeah.
Because it gets done.
Yeah.
And that's my tenacity.
Right. Yeah.
I just want it done. I don't care who decides.
I've had to figure out that rhythm.
Yeah. So another thing for me that shifted my perspective was in meetings, because there are different types of meetings that you have at work. And we kind of touched on this earlier, but at the beginning of a project, there is a goal. The goal is identify all the things that are broken.
Yeah.
And you would need a wonder genius in the room. You also would need a tenacity genius in the room, because they're the ones who will be able to see if that's a viable problem or solution. Because if it can't be done,
Yeah.
so you should have tenacity people in the room. And then if you understand that your genius is tenacity, you know your role, right? He understood the assignment. You know that they're going to sit here and wonder a lot. So it might sound draining for you, but your job is not to wonder. Your job is to listen to this wondering, listen to this invention when people are coming up with ideas to fix it, and speak up if something can be done, can be finished, or cannot be finished, because that's your role in me. So know who to have in the meeting.
Yeah.
And then know when to speak up or not.
Yeah.
Because your geniuses sometimes will take over. And so to be aware of your geniuses, there is a time when I shouldn't be galvanizing. It's not the time for galvanizing.
Yeah.
If it's a wondering session and we're thinking about all the things that are broken, or we're coming up with ideas, that is not the time to galvanize. So I need to shut up.
I think it's how you use it, because I would say in brainstorming sessions, galvanizers can be helpful because maybe people are intimidated to actually speak up. So it's like you can use it to encourage them to think free and to actually do the type of work that it is. So I think in each stage you can still use your genius, but it is like you said, it's how you use it, how you taper it.
For example, I will get the meeting started.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
I'm not going to let people sit around and talk about whatever they're going to talk about. We're going to get the people together and start the meeting. What's on the agenda?
Yeah. Yeah. Keep them focused.
Heck yeah.
Right.
Keep them on track.
Right. And if wanderers, like we were talking about earlier, if it's like 4 days before launch and wanderers are like, hey, now's the time to fix these little pieces, that's helpful if that is the context that it's in. If it's like, hey, we need to stop and restart the whole project and all of these issues are wrong and it's not helpful at the time, then there's a different place for it.
Right.
Is this helpful or is this hurtful? There's a way to look through it. Use your genius in a different lens to be able to help the area of work that we're currently in.
Yeah, it's really a perspective shift.
Yeah.
And the other thing that I had was being able to see things that irritate me.
Yeah.
Just to understand it.
Right.
Because there have been times recently even, I ask you a question, I'm looking for you to make a decision, and you give me
Ideas.
an idea. And I'm like, so just to have language for it, Justin, I don't need your invention right now.
Yeah.
I need your discernment. So just to have language, and then also understanding when I ask for a decision and I get an idea, I'm not frustrated with you. I'm frustrated with invention. So
That's true.
just giving me the ability to understand myself better.
Yeah. And to be able to use language to redirect it, like you just said.
Right.
Like, hey, I'm not mad at you. I don't need an idea right now. I need a decision.
Yeah.
So do you take the genius and kind of shift perspectives of like, hey, this isn't a brainstorming meeting.
Yeah.
This is a get stuff done meeting. So
Yeah.
we need to do a lot of enabling and doing things and then finishing our goals. Yeah. One of the other things that I love about the working genius, if I figured out what my geniuses are, what my drains are, what do I even do about my trains? There are multiple ways to be able to crutch your frustrations. So if I'm drained by galvanizing, I can pull you in because you're a galvanizer. You love to galvanize.
Yep.
If I have to be the one to galvanize, there are still things that I can do. I can make sure that I have enough time to be able to do it. So I will likely, what could take you 5 minutes to do, it might take me.
He will literally be typing.
Yeah, that's one way to do it.
Oh my goodness.
Maybe poor energy management. But if I need to do it, another thing that I can do is if I can't give it to somebody else, I can consult you. I can say, Meg, what are ways that I can say this that'll be helpful to the room? And I can just take your ideas and try to implement them in a way that's authentic to me. So that's another way. So I can do it myself. I can ask somebody else to do it, or I can consult somebody else to do it. Or the last one, I can use something that is energizing to me, one of my geniuses.
I was going to say that.
Yeah.
You've been really good at reframing it.
Yeah, you can reframe it. So you can take what is energizing to you. For example, for me, it's invention. And if I need to be the one to galvanize somebody, I will come up with ways, I will invent ways that'll be helpful, that'll be inspiring, not authentic to Megan, but I'll do something like, hey, let me come up with this cool picture that I used with ChatGPT or some type of AI, and it'll be like, oh, that's cool. That was very inspiring. So it was my way of galvanizing. But I used invention to do it.
Right.
So you can reframe it using your own genius.
In your own mind so that you can enjoy things that you normally may not enjoy.
Yes.
Very good.
Yes.
All right. Well, is there anything else that you want to say before we wrap up?
Yeah, it touched on being authentic to you. So I see a lot of galvanizers in my area of work, people that are great at it. And I've, in the beginning, felt a lot of shame because I wasn't like them. And so Patrick Lencioni will also kick off a lot of the communication about when you are seeing other people that are energized by something that is draining to you, you will likely feel a lot of shame.
Like inadequate.
Yeah, inadequate.
Right.
But he shifts the focus of spotlight to say, what are you great at? What is your God-given gift? What is your genius? What brings you joy? And just kind of double down on that because it is how we can solve a lot of problems, how we can move a lot of the things forward. And so
comparison is the killer of joy.
Yes.
That's in the Bible, y'all.
Yes. So we don't need to feel shameful. We can just embrace who we are and recognize the good that we can actually bring to it and just jump in that way and still be helpful and effective. But there's also guilt that we will sometimes try to give other people because we feel like they're not as good at the things that we are. We're like, why aren't you just like your mother, your father, your boss?
That really helped me.
Yeah.
Because one of my geniuses is tenacity. It helps me to get a lot of things done.
Yeah.
Because I want to do a lot of work. So when I'm looking at other people who are not completing things as fast as me, I'm kind of tapping my foot. Like, bro, what's taking so long?
Right.
But understanding that if you're doing the example that you said earlier where you're typing something up, I'm like, bro, what is taking so long?
Yes. Yeah.
Just type it. So in my mind, you're good at this, you're good at this. There's no reason that you should be taking that long to type an email. But to reframe it and just understand this is not something he wants to do.
Yeah. I'm very drained by it.
Right. That's why it's taking. So just understanding people and appreciating them in a different way.
Yeah. A good example is our website. You're like, just finish the website. Just like put it out there. It's fine.
Oh, the website.
But I spent weeks and weeks learning about it, studying it, trying to make the best decisions, come up with new ideas. And so when it's finally shipped, I think it's fine. It's good for really the first iteration.
It's really, really good. But
yes, it's taken a lot of time to be able to do.
For him to be able to do, not me.
Yes.
I approve stuff.
Yeah. So if you're listening to this, you can check it out, rosalesrecommendations.com.
And you can tell Justin what a great job he did in the YouTube comments.
That's funny. Yeah. Anyway, that's the working genius. One of our favorite things to talk about.
It is so helpful. We talk about all the time.
Leave a comment with what you feel like is your geniuses. What do you love the most? What do you hate the most? Again, it's a ranking, not a rating. You can get great at all of these. And even if they don't change over time, you could learn more about yourself over time. So even if you do take the assessment and you're like, oh, it says that I'm galvanizing, but I really don't like it. It's a 5 to 10 minute assessment. It's quick. So as you go into something that has no context or you're tired and you're like, actually, I really do hate this or I really do love this, shift it. It's fine. You're not locked into it. It's more of self-discovery.
Okay. So one of the things that can happen to you is something that is a competency.
Yeah. You could burn it. Okay. Yeah, that's right. Patrick Lencioni will say, people will often burn out from a competency before they actually burn out from a frustration. For a frustration, you do it, you're like, I hate this. I don't want to do this anymore.
And you know you hate it.
Yeah. It's reflexive. You just know. But a competency, you can do it. You don't care one way or another. So people will often give you the thing because you're pretty good at it. Maybe you don't love it, but you're like pretty good at it and you're the one that picked it up. So they'll always be the one to give you that type of work. And after so long, you'll start hating it because you're always getting that type of work and it's not actually energizing
It's
you.
not giving you joy.
Yeah, it's not draining to you, but you've done it for so long that you are getting drained because it's been forever.
So there's a high percentage of burnout at the office for this reason.
Yeah.
If your job is a big percentage of competencies because you're not getting filled up, your bucket is not being filled. If you stay in competency 90% of the time, it's too much.
Yeah.
You'll get drained out, burned out. This happened to you.
Yeah. So what do you do if you have a competency? You should do what Meg was talking about earlier, reframe it. So if somebody is giving you a task to do, and enablement is a competency for you, but you love invention, and they're just like, I just need you to do this. I just need you to get it done. Don't change anything. Don't come up with new ideas. I just need you to get it done. Doesn't mean that you can't come up with new ideas. If invention is energizing to you, maybe another project you invent, but also you can invent ways to get it done faster that don't dishonor the way that they're asking you to do it.
Oh, yeah.
So turn it into a game. How can you invent in the box that you have? What can you do? Maybe you can't invent the way that you want, but you still can invent. So how can you use your genius in an area where it feels like you can't use your genius? Just reframe it. You can.
Yeah.
What can you do with what you have?
All right. So I think that was the last important point I wanted to make because you can be good at stuff and have it not bring you joy. So just warning.
Yes.
All right. Well, that's it, right?
I think that's it.
All right. Well, before we go, I want to ask a question. Have you ever been listening to our pod and hollering at us to slow down? Because sometimes we're having a lot of fun, I think. So if you want everything in a cute little summary, bullet point, summarized, quick, 100 words. I just made that up. I have no idea how many words it is.
You put together a boss newsletter so that you can summarize the people that may not have the time to listen to the whole thing, but still want to get the snapshots. And so they can get all that where?
Well, I don't know. You tell them. The website.
Yes, the website.
Woo-hoo.
You can go to rosalesrecommendations.com and sign up for Meg's Boss newsletter.
Yeah.
You can also go to the link in the show notes. It'll take you to the same place on our website.
So I think it's just a quick way to get everything in writing.
Yes.
Okay. So that's it for today. Thanks for listening. And hey, do you want to be a part of the show? You can call or text 864-619-1683 to share your story, and we will get into it about all the things that went wrong. Or right.
Yeah, we're right.
We can do both.
Yes.
And also, hey, do us a favor and share this episode with your friend or colleague. And another thing, we want to know, what do you think your geniuses are? Are you a galvanizer like moi? Or invention like Justin? How'd you figure it out? Type it in the YouTube comments and let us know. Or tell us what drains the life out of you.
Yeah. No, we'd love to know.
We can talk about it all. And listen, friend, we know it's not easy, but remember that whatever it is you're walking through, you are not alone. And together, we can make the world a better place to work. Thanks for listening, team. Take care and see you next week.
Yeah. Aim in the bush. I got a ram in the bush. I'm the that God gon' provide for me. That's why I stand on the book.